Well, happy lunchtime. So, I just want to take a look at a nice post made on Facebook um, regarding the financial non-transparency of the LDS Church, and a case being made with, regard concerning that. Which I thought was pretty nicely written, and it also kind of dovetails with a comment I said I was going to get to a while back from a video that I did kind of on that subject, where I had a disagreement about the use of the word stakeholder, referring to members of the church, stakeholders, by Ryan McKnight, founder or co-founder of Mormon WikiLeaks. And so Elder Broomhead was kind of chastising me because he thought I was too rough on Ryan. I don't think I was really rough on Ryan. I just disagreed on that term. Although Ryan did show me, or was able to show, that the legal definition for stakeholder would be inclusive of people who actually were not shareholders and had any financial ownership in the church. But what comes to mind when I hear stakeholder is not, well, anyway, there is no legal right of the people to know the financial transparency, the finances of the corporate empire. But let's take a look at these. Let's take a look at these real quick here, okay? Let's read this post. This is Aubin Lynn Rayner. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. So she put this on Facebook in a group, I think it's Mormons in Transition. Anyway, I think she did a real nice job. Let's see if I can... There she is. Let's consider what she's got to say. The LDS Church needs to have money to operate. Of course, they are going to invest. It's the smart thing to do. We could all take a lesson from the financially smart and honest practices of the church. The church donates financially to help the poor and suffering. Everything is great. Now she's quoting somebody there. This is not her line of thinking. And so she says, okay, if that's true, why not be transparent with the church's finances? Why not tell everyone how the millions and millions of tithing funds are used? How about billions? The handbook, conference talks, and Sunday school lessons teach us what the proper use of tithing funds should be. Why do we not get to see if these funds are actually used as purported? Well, because you have no rights, because you're a customer. That's why. You're a customer of a fraudulent product, of a ticket to the celestial kingdom by obedience to the brethren, including paying your tithing, which they say you owe to God, and they're the stewards for God, self-appointed, I might add. So that's why. At least that's how I see it. Is it another built-in test of faith that God has constructed in this mortal probation? Or is it because these consecrated funds are used for causes that are not in line with the true principle of tithing? Is there something to hide? Yes, there is. Aubin, I sure hope I'm saying your name right. Yeah, there's definitely something to hide, because they're hiding they're hiding their use because they are, just as you're suggesting, they're not in line with what they tell the saints they're supposed to be doing with them, in all cases at least. Is it at least a fair question that I should not be shamed over? Yes, it is a fair question. Could it be that our sacred tithing is used to support political agendas like fighting the ratification of the ERA, Equal Rights Amendment, or supporting Proposition 8, having to do with the ability for gay people to be married, or in other words, marriages between a man and a woman? Like institutionally supporting a confessed sexual abuser, or publicly shaming, bullying, and intimidating his victim. That's particularly despicable. Using funds to hire lawyers and giving them confidential adoption and ecclesiastical records. What about revealing to the public the name of a victim's child she put up for adoption through the church's own adoption program, which I suspect it profits off of? I suspect there are probably kickbacks, but I can't prove that. Just falls in line with the filthy pedophiles running this organization, the Freemasons. Using tithing to pay these lawyers' retainer, as well as several more issues recently brought into the light by the digital age, might be a problem for the church if they were transparent. Yeah, she's making some good points, isn't she? Tithing funds or not, we wouldn't know because they keep financials hidden. Would it be hard for members to swallow and support the legal fees, budget line item, which might show a large payout to law firms hired to fight rape charges or negotiate payouts to silence victims? I'm thinking so. I'm thinking, how is the inside ring with the pedophile rings by these Satanists that run Mormon and Catholic churches and the JWs? How are these funds used to protect and to hide their deeds that are in the dark? Yeah, sorry. Glenn Pace and his internal memo that got leaked kind of helped to show that it ain't all that different from those Catholic bishops and cardinals that are, molesting children. It's not that much different because it's the same inner cult, basically, the same Luciferians that run all these religions. If we could see the financials, we would see the church using funds to have lawyers represent them in court as defendants who want cases thrown out because the church's person of authority is in question for heinous acts against its members. They're acting as any corporation would. They need to protect themselves. It's a lawyer's game. It's what they do. The church hires and pays PR people to write intimidating newspaper articles to preserve their good name. If members saw the direct correlation of their consecrated tithes being linked to silencing the weakest among us, would it be a testimony breaker? I think that's a hard yes. Protecting the institution is obviously more important than pastoral care of its people or even the victims. Any concern for the abused underdog is not importance. I couldn't agree more with this girl. And I like the fact that she's linking the financial evidence to the activity of another corporate entity that parades as something other than what it is. In this case, we have the LDS Church parading as the kingdom of the God of Israel on earth, with holy apostles inspired of God to represent him to the people. Just as we have privately owned transnational corporations, businesses running our society and block voting in the stock investments they make, and I'm talking about cities, counties, pension funds, states, and the United States of America and other countries, parading around as though they are government of the people, by the people, and for the people, when in fact they are not representing us. We don't have an actual truly representative government. We are the property, and we own nothing. We do not own land. We hold it in a state. If we don't pay our extortion fees and rent on it, it's taken back. Rent called property taxes. Anything can be taken away from you by the corporation that owns you. The United States government, the state of California, the state of Utah, the city of Salt Lake, the county of Los Angeles. I mean, whatever jurisdiction that you do business with and are possibly considered as property of, or you consider that you have property, you hold it. You partially may even control it. But if they want to take it, if you are in violation of things which they, without your consent, decide to pass as U.S. code, you're screwed, baby. So yeah, the comprehensive annual financial reports of these cities, states, counties, and pension funds prove to us the nature of them being privately owned corporate for-profit enterprises, investing all over the world in all sorts of other companies. And you knew it not. And the church, if it had to file comprehensive annual financial reports and wasn't as successful as in hiding them as the governments, as we call them, these companies which we think are elected governments to serve us, but they are not, do. If the church couldn't hide them as cleverly as they do, then surely what she's saying would be the case. We'd notice there's an enormous discrepancy between what they pretend are the laws of a God that guides these men and the way they actually conduct the affairs of this privately owned corporate empire in 501c3 form. Tax exempt because they promote patriotism and obedience to those who run those other entities I was just speaking of, called governments, which make enormous profits off of war, for instance. And we're to defend our freedom at all costs, our liberty, and our religion by bombing the shit out of people in the Middle East who never did a damn thing to us. I've heard, oh my goodness, what happened? Well, all right, let's continue on here. She says, I've heard this before. We learn from the very beginning, right from Nephi himself. It is better that one man should perish than an entire generation. Can you see? It's not about the one individual. It's about the one true church that we sacrifice for. Institution over individual is the only way to keep this sinking boat afloat. We convinced everyone they needed to pay to get in the boat, and that they must continue to pay to stay in the boat. But if that doesn't beat all, you'd think having the truth would be enough. But damn it, God's way must be hidden, twisted and lied about, denied, cast aside, ignored, shamed, changed, cherry-picked and whitewashed for anyone to keep paying us to stay in the freaking boat. Right? We didn't ask for any of this. We inherited this from our ancestors. Nobody told us that the intent and future science would reveal and prove that all God's truth to be hogwash. Reminds me when Dorothy and the gang pulled back the curtain, and we all know the story, concerning the divine price tag of tithing put on temple worthiness and eternal saving ordinances. Would looking at the church's financials be like pulling back the curtain of the great and powerful Oz? Would our eyes be open to a shameful fraud? Yeah, I have to agree they would be. Financials, they are a form of the adage which says, where your heart is, whatever, where your wallet is, that's where your heart is. Where your heart is. Put your money where your mouth is. And what I was really thinking of was, by your works, by their works you shall know them. And these are proof of their works. Proof of works which are not in line with the claims made of divine authority and guidance. So, great post. Aubynlin Rayner. She did this in, I think it's in Mormons in Transition group on Facebook. So, yeah, a lot of good important points to think about. Very important points to think about. Now, so far as anybody having a right to look at them, though, legally, no, you don't have that right. So here was the comment by on a video that I made called LDS Church Financial Transparency is Not Required. Let's get it straight, Mr. Ryan Apostate McKnight. Well, I'm an apostate like Ryan, too. So, says Elder Broomhead, so by your twisted logic, Dodger, every Catholic who attends Mass is a customer? Yeah. And every member of a Protestant church who attends regularly is a customer? Well, whoever pays is a customer. I bet at the retail store or restaurant they give things or meals to you free. What? Although they pass around a collection plate. Makes sense. The deal is that we don't know of any Christian church that owns $32 billion in stocks. The Roman Catholic has some wealth, but they keep it. They don't play the markets. Well, I'm not likely to agree with you on that. I think they've got the Roman Empire through many non-transparent means, I believe owns a whole hell of a lot more than the LDS Church does, Mr. Broomhead, but that's okay. I'm not going to dwell on that because I'm not going to try to unveil their finances. I simply don't understand you. You are the most complex ex-Mormon anywhere. I don't know what you have against R-Mac, Ryan McKnight. I don't have anything really against him. I simply disagreed on the word stakeholder, pal. He and Ethan do a fabulous job shining a light on a business corporation masquerading as a church, openly defrauding its members by lying to them as to where their tithing goes. I agree with at least most of that. They are openly defrauding people about everything they teach. Now, about where their tithing goes, they don't tell us where the tithing goes. Well, they do a little bit. They say it goes to things that it does go to, but they don't tell us where some of it goes to, as was just being discussed in that article. There's a reason why most churches are a member of an organization called ECFA. Too many people claiming to represent God cheat honest people out of their money. Yeah, like every one of them that takes money probably from them, that sells them a ticket to heaven is, yeah, selling a fake product is what I'd say. You make it sound as though Mormons enjoy getting cheated and defrauded because blessings will come to them. Okay? And if R-Mac refers to rank and file members as stakeholders, that's his thoughtful opinion on the matter. I don't know why you would have a beef with that. Since this video was uploaded months before the $32 billion discovery. $32 billion? Dude, I was reading that stuff in Time magazine a long time ago. It seems a mea culpa is badly overdue. Okay. Sorry, my foreign language skills are overwhelmed by mea culpa. So, I chatted with Ryan on Reddit, and stakeholders is legally permissible in the way he used it. However, I feel like it makes it sound like you have a right, and you don't, because a stakeholder is not necessarily a shareholder, and you are not a shareholder. You own nothing in the LDS Church. You are a customer of a fraudulent product called eternal life in the celestial kingdom if you pay, pray, and obey. as Steve Benson popularized the little term there, or whatever you want to call that. Yeah, no, I happen to agree mostly with what you have to say there, Elder Broomhead, and I think Ryan and his partner have done a great job. So let's not tell the LDS people that they have a right, because they don't. They are simply defrauded customers, led to believe that they have some value held. But what is it held in? It's held in an imaginary kingdom, in a product that the brethren are not required to deliver, because it's to be delivered by Jesus Christ and his daddy in the imaginary next life. And if they don't deliver, sorry, you're already there before you find out, and you can't do a damn thing about it. You're screwed. And besides that, as a disclaimer, it's all up to Jesus anyway to decide how well you obeyed. Really, these guys just can excommunicate you if they don't think you've done well enough as his brokers and stewards of his kingdom that pays them their healthy salaries and gives free education at BYU to their kids and cars and all kinds of stuff like that. So, yeah, it's not that you have a right, because you don't. If you did, then somebody would have sued the church and forced them. But they can't. They haven't managed to, because you're not a shareholder. And in this particular definition of stakeholder, extending to people that have an interest in what's going on in a business, for instance, members of a community where a business might be, that's far from you actually having one iota of control, because you don't. It's not a representative organization. It comes from the top down. It's a corporation. They're selling you a product that you're never going to receive. So enjoy slaving for the corporation, devoting your life to it, devoting missionary service, losing every Sunday, and 10% of your gross income. Thank God he revealed we didn't need building fund anymore, though. Isn't God merciful? Dodger out.